President Trump pardoned several people on Sunday who were involved in his effort to challenge the 2020 election numbers. To dive into this, we're now joined by Ilya Shapiro, Senior Fellow and Director of Constitutional Studies at the Manhattan Institute. Ilya, thank you so much for coming back on. Now, Trump just pardoned over 70 people, including former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and many others. Why do you think he did this?
He's clearly trying to draw a line under January 6th, under that whole election challenge era, if you will. None of these people that he pardoned today have been charged. So these are preemptive pardons. Various lawyers, political figures, as you noted. So he doesn't want this to be discussed. He wants to move on, and he feels that he owes it to these supporters of his, to take this potential cloud away from them.
So I got two questions for you here. Do you think that these pardons were really necessary then? And then what kind of message does it send to pardon them?
Well, given that his Justice Department was not going to be investigating them, the earliest that any of them could have been under any kind of criminal investigation or doubt would be 3-4 years from now. Unlikely, given statutes of limitations and other concerns. So this is more of a political move, signaling that he really wants to be done with that, as well as a favor to his supporters who, after all, were in his corner and trying to keep him in power.
And now the Supreme Court, they agreed to hear a case that'll decide whether states can receive mail-in ballots after Election Day. 18 states accept mail-in ballots after the Election Day if they're mailed by Election Day. What are the arguments being made here in this case?
So the Constitution has an Election Day clause, and there's further federal statutes talking about that and what that means. With the advent of mail-in ballots and then the vast explosion of mail-in ballots during COVID, you have, for the first time, a lot of ballots, a significant number, not being counted on or by Election Day. And so this does raise certain kinds of challenges. And what is just having a postmark by Election Day, is that enough, either constitutionally or under these relevant federal laws? And the Supreme Court has already been taking up a case. They heard argument last month in a challenge to Illinois' expansive counting of ballots that come in up to 2 weeks later. So there are all sorts of jockeying about these new rules and regulations, as I said, most of which expanded under COVID. And now is the time to figure this out rather than right in the heat or right after a contested election.
And what kind of legal precedent could this set for any other election-related cases, depending on the outcome of the Supreme Court's decision? Like, could we see banning mail-in ballots altogether or lessening their power?
Probably not. Certainly not with this case. This is about counting ballots that come in after Election Day. The previous case, the other case that I mentioned, that's there's already been argument, was about potential challenges to state regulations. Mail-in ballots have been around for a long time. We've had absentee ballots for a long time, early voting for a while. Certain types of state regulations might go too far. And so this ruling in this particular case could certainly tighten up the rules for mail-in ballots, but I don't see them going away altogether.
And now onto another piece of news. President Trump's threatening to sue the BBC for the way they edited his January 6th speech, taking two parts of his speech about an hour apart, making it look like he called for violence when they spliced it together. They released that right before the 2024 election in a documentary. It's received widespread criticism. Two heads of the company just stepped down. Do you think that Trump should pursue a lawsuit here?
Well, he might have accomplished what he wanted with these resignations. What he said was he would sue if there was no apology. Well, these people who have resigned, and I think I saw a statement from some other BBC person, were in effect apologies. So I don't know what else he wants out of it, but the BBC clearly knows that it's in the wrong in this deceptive editing. And, I don't know if he wants money out of this or if just this bad publicity for the BBC is really accomplishes what he wants.
All right. Well, Ilya Shapiro, really appreciate your insights as always. Thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure.